What's up, guys? I'm back from doing some fishing, and I did get a hit, a couple good bites on the fluke one that I did. I started out with that worm. That is the worm that I use. It is a FusionX is the company that makes the molds that I'm doing. Right now I'm just doing a bunch of remelts of the old lures that me and Donnie have used through the tournament season this past year. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of leftover rubber, plastic, whatever you want to call it, that would get wasted. A lot of people throw it in the garbage and everything, and I've melted it down, and just the little bit I've done so far, and I don't even have some of the new stuff I've done in a new color. I've got all these bags. There's a bunch of flukes. There's another big bag of flukes at home. There's a big bag of the craws right there. A big bag of worms in different colors. Yeah, and I've got a ton of pre-cut stuff at home that I've pre-cut up, ready to melt. And the ones that these colors have left big forms of these actual colors from me doing it. But this one was the worm that I threw today was black with blue fleck that I added some more fleck into. So that's the worm I threw today. Action's really good on it. You can tell it's got a good movement to it. Whatever rubber plastic they use to make these worms that I've melted down, it's a pretty good hard rubber. It's not a super soft one. It's got some pretty good stretch. It's going to hold together pretty well, I think. It takes a little bit to get the hook through it. Yeah, so it's a pretty durable. I think they're going to last every bit as well as they did when they were originally melted the first time and made into the first worms. Then I use this color in my jigs, in my little crawl jig. He was Texas rigged too, and didn't get no bites out of that. But that color in this muddy water, it toned it down quite a bit. If you can tell, that thing is pretty green colored. It's a really pretty color. But in this muddy Illinois River that we have here with all the silt, it looked really good. It toned it down some, and it really punched through. It really had some nice color. I was impressed. I was actually impressed with the color when it was in the water. I mean, I'm impressed with the color, period. Especially since I didn't mix it. I mean, it's just a remelt. It's a remelt of a few different colors that came out like that. I added some silver flake to it to give it a little bit more shine, and it did pretty good. It actually looked really good in the water. I was actually quite pleased with the looks of this thing in the water. So that's going to be a neat color for the kind of stained water we have around here. And like I said, some of our waterways that we fish, the lakes that we fish, is fed by this Illinois River. So kind of the same colors we're dealing with when it comes to dinginess and runoff and everything. So that little guy right there, while it doesn't look like much, I mean, it is a pretty color, but while it doesn't look like much on its own, when you get it in the dirty water, it does something to it. So yeah. And then this guy, my first time ever trying to do laminates, that is a silver bottom with an engine oil top. That little fluke is what I got bit on. I got hit twice on him. Yeah, that little guy. And I'm telling you what, I tried to take some video of it in the water, but trying to do that one-handed with my hands freezing and jerking the rod, trying to make that work out, I don't think I got good video of it. I'm gonna try and post some of that with this and see if it's gonna show up as well as it looked to my eyes. But man, I'm telling you what, that little guy right there was like, I think it's $14 for that FusionX mold, but I went with a silver bottom, and that's a remelt too. It was like a silver bottom, and it's got a lot of, I don't know if it'll show up, it's got a lot of swirly, real small, fine glitter in it, and then it's just got the engine oil black flake in it. So yeah, You can see where it kind of ran and stuff, because I'm never done those before. Never done laminates before, but yeah, with the Crixus, the KastKing Crixus rod or reel, it that thing, I don't even have to jerk it. That Crixus at the 771, man, I'm telling you what, that thing is beautiful. I don't know what it is about that mold. For as cheap as it's a 4-cavity mold too, so I get 4 of these every time I run them, or can. I'm telling you what, that Crixus at that faster 7 speed, this thing was a joy. I didn't have to I mean, you can jerk it if you want and let it sink. I was like dead sticking it, jerking it, jerk, 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 and then just dead sticking it, and just little, 6 to 8 inch jerks, just boop boop, little jerks, or cranking with the Crixus, just let it dead stick, crank, like 1 or 2 quick twists of the handle as fast as that Crixus is and as much line as it pulls in, and I got hit on it. I mean, that thing is really just, I'm telling you, I don't know if it's a square because of being a pour, if it's the squareness to it instead of being more rounded like a lot of your flukes are, being more squared. But I'm telling you what, the action in the water, this thing's all over the place, and you don't even have to hardly do anything. So match that up with the KastKing Crixus, and I tied it straight braid. That my Texas rig is straight braid, and I'm telling you what, that thing's fun. I can't wait to get good weather here and get a season here now that I'm making these things. I'm real impressed with this FusionX. Yeah, the fluke that they have here. I'm actually really impressed. I was shocked at how well that sucker moved. And that engine oil color there, man, that's like, you almost can't see it in this. It's almost the same color as this dingy water we have here. But with that silver, I don't know, it must have been that silver laminate I put on the bottom. I don't know. But I got hit twice on it. And couldn't land nothing today. It was just that, I don't know what was down there. I don't know what was hitting it, but something liked it. I'm impressed. I'm very impressed with this fluke. I'm really shocked at the action, how little you have to work this thing. When you're out there in a tournament and you got a fluke bite, and you got a fluke that works that easy, you put on, like, you get one of your KastKing reels that has a higher speed, and you can just twist it real quick like that and get those kind of actions out of it without having to do much. I'm telling you what, that saves you a lot of time, man. That saves a lot of time on your arms. You're gonna be able to not be wore out when you're out there fishing all day long. So I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty darn impressed. So FusionX got it right with these things, man. These things are awesome. I'm really impressed with the mold on this. But like I said, the KastKing gear, as always, the extremist braid works beautiful in these conditions. It always does. I've never had a problem when it was freezing temperatures out using their braid. It's doesn't want to freeze. It does great. It's made for these kind of conditions. It's pretty tough stuff too, man. And like I said, the reels, they never gave me a problem. I started with KastKing using their gear 3 years ago. Now I'm on 3 years this winter, and I'm telling you, those reels, while they don't look new, because I am rough on stuff, and that's just me. That's not their quality of paint and stuff. When I think something else is going to work, I'm chucking those things down to the freaking deck. I'm not very, there's money at stake, and we're in a tournament. I'm not a nice guy on my gear, and the KastKing stuff is held up, man. It's may not look new sometimes the way I abuse it, but man, it works like day one. Never have a problem with my KastKing gear, and that's just to be said. That's something to be said. I really love that. It makes me pretty happy to know I have gear from KastKing that's never gonna screw up. It's just, I can go out there and trust it. I can pound it all day long, and I don't have to worry. You know, it's kind of nice to have gear that I don't have to worry about. Got enough things to worry about in a day's time, and out there at a tournament to have to worry about that. So that's a nice thing to deal with. So I'm gonna call this one quits, guys. My fingers have finally come back. I can feel them again now that I'm in the warm car. So I'm gonna cut this thing off and head home. And I will let you guys know I am going to be doing a video soon that is going to be taking one of the KastKing reels completely apart, all the way down to its bare frame. A lot of people have asked me how I get mine to run so smooth, and there's nothing wrong with how they come. There's nothing wrong with how KastKing does anything. There's nothing wrong with how any manufacturer does anything, for that matter. But there are some things you can do inside those reels that make them a little smoother that I like to do, and it's pretty impressive what it does to them by getting some white lithium grease and some good Lucas oil. That's where it's at. The Lucas reel oil. It's actually REEL. It's reel oil. It's made for reels. It's the small little bottles like your Bass Pro makes and all the other manufacturers, you know. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. It's I won't use anything else on my bearings besides Lucas reel oil anymore. It's kind of a bluish green color, and yeah, that stuff's amazing. It's a synthetic too, so it stays on there, and it's really improved my casting distances big time for several years. This was before I even started going with KastKing. I've been with Lucas Oil, using that reel oil. I use their oil in all my engines, my outboard engines and stuff. So I use it in my cars. I use their additives in my vehicles. So, but that reel oil is pretty impressive. So get some of that for your bearings, and get some white lithium grease. It's just a thin white lithium grease, and I'm going to show you guys how to tear those things down. There's not that much inside of them. I mean, there is to an extent, but there isn't. You know, they all come apart and go together the same. Some of these companies, they put and this is nothing against anybody. This is nothing against KastKing or anything. They put lube in sections to just keep things from rusting and stuff, you know. But once you buy one and you start using it, and you're going to maintain that thing all the time, one of the things you want to do is take your drag system apart and clean that up. And I'm going to show you guys all that stuff, because there's nothing to be scared of inside of these reels. They're not that hard to take apart and put together. So I'm going to do a complete demonstration of how you would take one of those things all the way down and put it back together so that it runs, and runs better than when you bought it new. So yeah, that's how I get the distances out of mine without putting those high-end bearings in them and stuff. Are you going to get a little better performance out of those aftermarket high performance bearings? Yeah, probably. But I'll guarantee you guys, you're going to get more than you thought you could get by just lubing something. So we'll go from there. We'll talk to you guys later. Keep it KastKing.